Hey guys and girls, it's Nathan Birch here from B.Invested.com.au, and today I'm here to talk about negotiation. And a lot of people ask me all the time, how do you get those bargain properties? How do you buy properties so cheap? How do you always get things cheap? But it doesn't matter whether I'm buying a car, a property, some B.Invested shirts, whatever the case is, how do you get stuff cheap? And it's not, there's no surprise, there's no like taking the baseball bat out and hitting anyone with it. There's some techniques that I think I can share with you. I've made a list of them here. I'm going to just look at my bullet point list and explain my thoughts on each of these things and each of these steps of things that you can adapt to your own negotiation skill set to improve your negotiation, and you can have some fun with it, and I encourage you to. So one thing I do ask though is if you do have some awesome wins after your negotiations and you have some cool stories to tell, whether you're buying a new car, new house, new boat, new jet ski, new dog, whatever, put your negotiation things that you've learned in the comment box below, because I want to hear about it. So the first one is I'm always looking for a win-win outcome. It's important that when you're negotiating with someone, you can't just expect unless someone's on their knees, and you've got to make the moral obligation whether it's something that you're going to take advantage of that situation. And for me, I always look for the best outcome for myself. Normally that's generated by price, and obviously the best outcome for them, whether it's terms or whatever, to accommodate my price. So with that, always has to be a win-win scenario. If someone's losing, it's considered as not a successful outcome. So win-win. Always leave the emotions at the door, as far as having an emotional attachment to it. If your emotions will get you killed. You need to be logical about your decisions. You need to be logical about what you're buying and what you're trying to negotiate on. Recently I showed a property that I purchased and I had never seen it, and people ask me, why don't you see your properties that you go and purchase? And I talk about it as my emotion. I'm buying it based on cold, solid numbers. I don't care about looking at it. If I went out to some of my properties, I probably would have paid more for them because I got excited about them and all that sort of stuff. And I just want to make sure that it's purely a logical decision when it comes to any sort of business or any sort of negotiation. Next thing is that I always want to talk to whoever counts. So if I'm dealing in a scenario as far as with a property purchase, and we're talking about property here, I want to talk to the listing agent. The listing agent knows the vendor, knows what the scenario is, what the case is. Always want to go straight to the listing agent, because the listing agent will have a good understanding, and they're the ones that communicate my side of the story and my side of the argument to the vendor. It's not going through one person, through another person, through another person. It's best to have it direct with that point of contact to the other side. So if you're buying a new refrigerator this weekend or whatever, you want to go and talk to the person in the fridge department, not over in the computer department, because when they come over and start negotiating, it's going to lose credit. So always talk to the person that counts, because you're going to get the best outcome from that. When you're talking about a price in negotiation, I always like to have evidence on why. You need to justify yourself. So for me, if I'm going into a shop and saying, I want to get a new fridge, I know it's got $1,000 on it, however, I'll give you $500. It's not going to happen, because they're going to sit there and say, why are you saying $500 for? If you can prove a point that, look, the shop down the road has got one for $550, it's on special, it's got a ding in it though, I'm looking for one without a ding. Obviously there's a difference in price. I'd prefer to go to that one because we're too far apart in price. However, if you could make your fridge a little bit cheaper, somewhere around the $600 mark, I'd be interested. People come and say, I'm only going to pay $500. The salesperson arcs up and says, go piss off and get out of my shop. But if you say, look, I'd be willing to pay a little bit extra than that one because I want to work with you on this, they might come back and say, well, I can do it for $800. If you're getting it for $800, you can go, okay, I'll take it for $800. But if you're like me and you'll sit there and go, oh, shit, I'm giving sincerity in it, I can't really afford the $800. I might be jumping up and down, but I'm not showing that. I'm keeping the straight face on it, and it's something that I'll sit there and go, okay, well, if you can do it for $650, $675, I've got an extra $5 here, $675, I'll take it right now. We're coming to an agreement. Okay, I can only do it for $700. Well, you just got an extra $100 off. You're looking for a win-win outcome, and that's a scenario in a fridge shop. I haven't bought a fridge lately. I might probably need one. I'll probably buy it by the time I get home. after saying that. The other thing you want to have is confidence. So when you're talking to someone about a property or a house or a car or anything you want to negotiate on, always have confidence and conviction when you're talking to them. If you're talking to them like, oh, I think I might buy it I think I might buy it at $500 for that fridge. Like, the salesperson's not even going to take you serious. You need to have confidence when you're relaying your message. You need to talk straight. You need to position yourself. I'm sure there's lots of stuff on Google and YouTube on how you can talk and present yourself better and all that sort of stuff. I could probably present myself better to YouTube, but I think you're happy with how I talk. So besides that, always make sure that when I communicate with someone, I'm straight, I'm direct, I don't give them bullshit. Like a lot of people, when they go and negotiate or talk in general life, you hide something, you try and be sneaky, you try and be tricky, you go around the corner and backdoor someone, whatever the case may be. If you do that, it's not going to be good or beneficial for the outcome. It's something I'd rather say that it is. Be very candid. If you're being candid, everyone knows where you're sitting at, and people will actually like to do business with you. The other thing is that you want to make sure that they like you. You want the person to like you. If you're sitting there and building a relationship, building rapport with the person that you're negotiating with, they're going to like you, and in turn, if they like you, they're going to look after you like they do their friend, their brother, their sister, their mother, their auntie, their uncle, whoever, their dad, whatever. So try and get the person to like you. You can do that by assimilating things. If you walk into someone's office, a real estate agent's office, I'm not a sports person. I don't profess to be a sports person. I hate sport. Let's just make that clear. But sometimes I walk into people's office and they might have their guard up or whatever the case may be. Say, oh, you like watching cricket, you might like watching sport, is this your favourite sports team, whatever the case may be. That gets the person talking. Selling isn't telling, and this is the next point. Selling isn't telling, it is listening. And if you can listen to what people have to say, build the rapport, build the relationship, listen to what they have to say, then you've got a more favourable outcome. It's not all about how many times have you gone to go and buy something and the person stands over you and says, oh, you should buy it. I cop calls like that all the time. I just delete them. I hang up on them. Like it's not how you don't like when someone talks to you like that. Other people don't like you talking like that to them. So selling isn't telling, it's listening. One thing I always have as a golden rule is I will only speak if what I've got to say is better than saying nothing at all. A lot of the time people will sit there in the middle of negotiation and start talking. Silence is the biggest key for when negotiating to get the outcome, because they'll think about it. He who talks most is not in control. Be realistic as far as the outcomes. So if you're going in there and saying I'm going to give you $500 or $300 for a fridge, unless the shop's closing down, going through administration or whatever the case may be, they're not going to accept your $300 for the fridge. So you've got to be realistic, you've got to be genuine about it, you've got to be committed, you've got to be confident, you've got to be able to make a decision and say, yep, if I get this for this price, I will buy it today, showing an assumption to close. And I find the biggest thing for me when negotiating is I like doing an assumptive close. An assumptive close is when I'm assuming that the deal is going through. So if we're talking about a property here, I'll be talking about, okay, cool, so thank you very much, Mr. Real Estate Agent, for taking my offer. Look, if we can get this accepted today, what time can I come in your office and sign a contract? Or can you please send me over your trust account details so I can put the deposit into your account? That's giving a reciprocal, a feeling of commitment to the agent. They're thinking, shit, I need to make this happen because this guy's prepared to sign a contract and leave his job today, or whatever the case may be, he's prepared to put the money in the account. He's dead serious about making the deal happen. So an assumptive close, if any of these terms aren't really gelling with you and you don't know what an assumptive close is, go onto Google and Google some of the terminology I'm talking about. At all points, make sure you're staying focused on your outcome. You want to make sure that you're walking out at the shop today with that fridge or with that property, with that car, whatever the case may be, as an item. You want to make sure that you're staying focused on this is what the outcome is. It's not to put my ego in and say, oh, you're a dickhead or whatever the case may be. I'll walk away. People, that's the other thing, people don't like the fact that, they've got to walk away. Like, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. You're wasting your time, their time, and everyone else's time. Walk away from the deal. If it's going to work, make it happen. If it's not going to work, walk away. But always even though we're talking about emotions, don't let the emotions come in place. Always remember to stay humble. If you let the ego get a hold of you and you go, oh, I'm the best, all that sort of stuff, it's not gonna work. It doesn't work. It just puts a barrier up. It's like when you go to the bank and you have a robber come in and those big screens come up. That's what will happen to the person's that you're negotiating with's barrier. They'll put their fight or flight mode in. The other thing is just on the last note that I can think of today is making sure that when you are negotiating to actually work with the other side. So as I said before, and if we were talking about the fridge for $500, we're talking they're at 1,000, you're at 500, you've shown a bit of sign of playing with them at $600, they come back at $800 when you're at $700. Being able to counter-offer and reciprocate the counter-offers either way gives you the opportunity to get the price down a bit further. You want to work with what you've got. There will come a point where they'll say, no, this is it, walk away. Quite often that'll happen a few steps along the way, but when we're talking breaking the numbers down in small amounts, whether it's buying a fridge and saving an extra $100, it's $100 you can take your family out for dinner, whatever the case may be. If it's buying a property, they might be at 10 grand off, you might be at 200, they're at 210, you can say, yep, 210's good. But if you go back to them and say, look, I've only got $202,500, they might come back and say, well, we'll do it at $207,000. You just save yourself 3 grand, go buy yourself a holiday, whatever the case may be. Every time you're negotiating, you're, trying to get that best dollar. So with that, appreciate you watching. Hopefully you've learned some cool stuff today. If you've got any questions, put it in the box below. Subscribe to watch some more cool stuff like this, and have a great day. Have fun negotiating. I want to hear about all this cool shit you're buying. We'll catch up soon.